Good Monday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Mondays with Mason. I'm Mason Spesky, your host. Today we are going to talk about something that occurred yesterday as our topic, and you probably all know by now what it is. I attempted to make a video about this in the morning yesterday just to give my thoughts on it, but unfortunately it was like I had to stop it, restart like 5 times. And also I forgot at the Steeler game, I realized I forgot I'd even posted it, and it would be after the fact, so I just decided to scrap the video and just talk about it today, especially since this is the aftermath of it, and that is the decision between Alabama and Florida State. So here's how this decision came about. Saturday, going into this weekend's conference championship games, the top 4 teams in the nation were Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, and then 5 was Oregon, 6 was Ohio State. On Friday night, Washington beat Oregon, eliminating them and sealing their playoff spot. Saturday, Michigan won, Texas won, and who else? I'm thinking Michigan won, Texas won, but that was not the big deal. Florida State won, as we all know, 16-6 over Louisville, completing the undefeated Power 5 Conference Championship season. Alabama defeated Texas by a field goal to win the SEC, therefore creating chaos. So essentially the committee was tasked, because at this point we know Michigan's in undefeated Big Ten champion, Washington's in undefeated Pac-12 champion. Georgia's basically out because they're not a conference champion and they have a loss. So we're now down to 2 free teams for 2 spots. The free teams are Texas, 1 loss to Oklahoma, but Big 12 champion. Alabama, 1 loss to Texas, an SEC champion. Florida State, undefeated ACC champion. Texas is automatically getting in because they beat Alabama, and that would be unfair to exclude them. So they get in, they're the free team, and they will take on Washington in the Rose Bowl. So it comes down to Alabama with 1 loss, SEC champion though, and Florida State no losses, ACC champion. The committee picks Alabama. This is what I expected them to do. I expected this to be the rankings. However, I'm disappointed about this. I feel like the committee and ESPN felt obligated to pick an SEC team just because it's a sin. They feel like it's a sin to leave an SEC team out. Newsflash. It wasn't a sin and it wasn't a problem for you guys to put 2 SEC teams in 21 or 17, or it was 17, yeah, and exclude a Big Ten team in 2017 and 2018. The committee has some affection for the SEC, and this was confirmed yesterday. Look at Mizzou, Missouri. They are ranked 8th in the nation, ahead of an Oregon team that dominated. And don't get me wrong, this is what I would have done too. But the bottom line is they give the SEC favors. Florida State got screwed. I'd say everybody that is not an Alabama fan would say this. If you saw Michigan in the locker room yesterday following that game, they were ticked. Probably because they have to play the tougher team now. I hope they beat them by 6 touchdowns. Bottom line is this. If you win the SEC, regardless of how many losses you have, you basically get in the playoff. And I saw an image and a graphic up on Twitter yesterday, basically saying, it was from a Florida State fan, Florida State went undefeated. Each of the top 4 teams has had a close loss against a mediocre or bad team recently. Michigan, or a near loss. I'm sorry. Michigan only beat Maryland by 7 points. But that was in Maryland, though. So I can see that. But Maryland's not a bad team. They're bowl eligible. If you're bowl eligible, you're a good team. Washington. They barely beat Washington State by 3 points on their home field. That loss made Washington State bowl ineligible. 5-7. That's an ugly win. Texas. They beat TCU by 3 points at TCU on November the 11th. Again, TCU was not bowl eligible. That is an ugly win. And Alabama. Yes, Auburn is bowl eligible at 6-6. But they only beat them by 3 points on a Hail Mary play. If that was batted down, we wouldn't even be having this debate. Bottom line is this. Alabama may have better wins, but look. Alabama beat LSU by 2 touchdowns on their home field. Florida State beat LSU by 3 touchdowns at Orlando, a neutral site. Florida State, with Jordan Travis, is clearly better than Alabama. And mind you, I say with Jordan Travis. He was a playmaker on this team, and he was important. However, I feel like Florida State is just as good with Jordan Travis as they are without him. It's a team game. There's 90 some other guys there. One guy can't save the whole team. And that proved their past 2 games. They beat Florida by 9 points in the swamp when they were fighting for bowl eligibility. More than Washington beat Washington State. And also more than Texas beat TCU. And also Texas and Bama both have 1 loss. Florida State had none. So I totally get their anger. I really do. But it is rather insane. The fact that they got denied. This is why it's probably the best that this conference realignment and expansion of the playoff is occurring. So stuff like this never happens again. Florida State would be in the playoff. No, they wouldn't get a bye. But they would play Liberty, which is as close to as surfing as a win as possible. So, it's rather crazy. It's disappointing, to say the least, that this is what we've come to. The fact that the SEC gets a free pass every year. So if you win the SEC championship, regardless of if you have 10 losses, you're on to the playoffs just because you won the SEC. And the fear is Alabama has the team. Despite this team losing to Texas by 10 on their own home turf, plus barely getting by South Florida, USF, this team is legit and has a legit shot at winning the national championship. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people in Florida, especially Florida State fans, players, athletics department, workers, alumni, students, are furious. As they should be. This is going to be an interesting playoff. I can't wait to see what happens in the future because of this. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Pray for Israel. And as always, peace. See you next Monday.